Hello and welcome to the big picture. The US presidential race has started moving rapidly towards the D-Day, 3 weeks away. The second presidential debate between President Obama and his Republican challenger Mitt Romney at the Hofstra University in New York earlier this morning has put Obama back in the race after a rather lackluster show in the first debate held on October 3rd at Denver. These TV debates between the two candidates, a great American tradition, dubbed as democracy in action, plays a significant role in assessing the chances of the candidates. Today's debate saw a much improved President Obama taking on his challenger much more aggressively, unlike in the first one, putting him ahead of Romney. The race, however, has narrowed down and it seems like it will head all the way down to the wire. How much do these debates decide the fate of the candidates? Where does Obama and Romney stand as of now, and how convincing were they in today's debates? How much mark did they make today, especially on the undecided voters? What can we expect in the coming 3 weeks before the American people line up to vote on November 6th? We will discuss all this today with Ronen, former Indian ambassador to the United States, Prof.K.P. Vijayalakshmi of the Center for Canadian, US and Latin American Studies in the JNU, Mohan Guruswamy, an economist and distinguished fellow, Observer Research Foundation. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Ronen, if you watched today's debate, there was a marked change in Obama's attitude today compared to the first debate on October 3rd. So, a lot of work has gone into it?
No, he was better prepared, and also attitude was a little bit different. He was more combative. And I think the setting also was better for him, the town hall meetings where he generally comes off quite well. But he came out in more his usual self, a little bit more on the aggressive side, but I think that it made a difference, definitely.
So, what according to you was the most crucial thing? Today's the later polls indicated that he was ahead of, at least in today's debate, he was, CNN was saying that he was 46% and Romney was 39%. This is quite a bit of difference. In the first debate, it was Romney was 66% and way behind was Obama, yes. President Obama. So, how do these changes take place? One second thing is, how much do these kind of polls and how much do these kind of debates matter in the final analysis?
Well, in the final analysis, actually, in the electoral system, it's not on the popular vote.
Right.
You can lose a popular vote and you can
win an election. We have seen that happening.
Seen that happen. Now, in this electoral system, actually, it's already decided.
Yes.
So we know the outcome.
These debates are essentially to woo the undecided voters.
Undecided voters, and particularly in what is known as battleground states or the swing states.
Right.
And that's where the undecided voter will play a critical role. So the importance of these debates cannot be underestimated. There's significant viewership. And what has happened today is that actually Romney had in the first debate come out from behind, because he was
not much was expected of him.
Not much was expected, and he definitely looked like a presidential aspirant.
Right.
Even today, he looked like an aspirant.
Right.
He looked in many ways. He fitted his role, but it has given a little bit of a fillip in. Not necessarily, you'll find different polls have different things to say, but and it is uncertain as to how much of an impact it has made on undecided voters, but it has definitely nullified some of the losses which were made in the first debate. That's what my overall impression is.
Vijayalakshmi, some of the issues which were raised today. When you watch a presidential debate and the American presidential debate, it really warms your heart because, these issues which we don't find these things happening in an Indian election. Very crucial issues, domestic issues, people's issues, which gets debated. One of the issues today was on women and healthcare, This became a major, every election I think this becomes a major issue. So, when presidential candidates take up this kind of issues, how much impact will it have on the overall, vote?
See, the first thing to remember is, as you also mentioned, the magic number of electoral college votes is 270.
Right.
So at the moment we're seeing, from 47 to 39 to 50-50 to again a bounce or a decline in this after the second debate. And there's still one more to go. So, this will continue to be a bounce and bounce back, etc. But the magic number is 270. And as the Ambassador also mentioned, we need to look at the swing states and their electoral college votes. That said, what are the role of various people? What do the voters look like? And is it just the swing states that really make the difference? I mean, the voters from the swing states, or is it category by category? Now, your question about women is a category question.
Right.
It is also playing into at least three issues, which is the issue of equal pay, equal rights, and abortion. Now, to imagine that, the gender gap that you probably implied, which traditionally and conventional wisdom now has it, that since 1980, there's been a gender gap in American elections by women choosing to be voting more for Democrats than Republicans. And up till now, till September, America's President, Barack Obama, had a lead among women voters. And one of the interesting statistics, you may wish to also include is the fact that women are voting more in more numbers than men. So hence it becomes important for you to actually talk to them about the, issues that really concern them. But on the other hand, you also need to think that women are not going to be specially concerned about one issue called abortion. They're interested in economy, they're interested in the deficit, they're interested in the national debt, all of these, and jobs, all of them play a big role. So the issue is this gender gap. Has it changed elections? Certainly, because election of Clinton showed that more number of women turned up to vote, and he actually had a very slender lead amongst the men. And therefore, you see, and this may again become a kind of a battleground for these votes, simply because Governor Romney did have a gender gap amongst women, but that was offset, more than offset, with his lead on men.
Especially the white
well,
males.
Just men, I would say if you need to go to the whites and then the black women, there are many ways of looking at it. But in simple terms, the real issue is women voters are not only important because of the numbers that they bring, because they are voting in larger number, but also because they tend to take part in the election far more seriously towards the end.
Right.
And now we've seen that some of Romney's numbers have picked up because he's actually, a Pew poll has actually said, Gallup and CNN poll, USA Today poll has said, in the swing states, women have changed their minds once they listen to the debates. And they say that, about the jobs, it's important for us that maybe Governor Romney can do something better than our president. So it may not be just on abortion, but no question that President Obama enjoys a what I would call a traditional advantage, but an advantage in women, amongst women voters, largely because he's seen as a caring person on issues such as abortion, which he has actually
Planned Parenthood
as well. Yeah. And of course, this is a philosophical difference. It's not purely a candidate.
Absolutely.
One of the issue is that, if you can actually, as a candidate, what Obama brings is the fact that, he actually did this part in the Obamacare. In the affordable care, he's actually talked about contraception. Now, you must understand that the culture of United States is very divided on the issue of abortion within families. It's not about politics alone. It's actually a cultural...
It's also a religious thing.
Yes, and it's a very cultural kind of problem. I mean, there may be fathers and mothers who are on one side, the children on the other, ages. There are various ways of looking at the issue of abortion.
Right.
It is a divisive one, and it has remained one. But I think the larger issue of economy, jobs, and so on, how women look at that, might also help us understand whether this lead will in fact remain till 6th of November.
Mohan, it's a lot of this election is about the economy. The way the economy has gone in America, jobs, and the debt, the fiscal deficit and the debt, which is what a lot of today's discussion also was about. How convincing, if you watch those debates, how convincing are they when say Mitt Romney talks about his 5-point plan, and if he wins, then he'll be able to lessen that debt. Do you think he was sounding convincing at all?
I don't think so. I don't think you could reduce the debt, because the kind of borrowings the US has done in the last few years to get out of that mess they entered into in 2008.
It's now
the legacy,
2 trillion or something.
The legacy of George Bush's 2 wars and profligate ways. I think the American public, by and large, understands that President Bush left things in the mess, and the Republicans were in power. They controlled.
You think that message is?
I think today Obama did reinforce it very cleverly. He painted Romney as an inheritor of Bush, of the Bush legacy. I think he did it very effectively.
There was a very pointed question by one of the audience.
There was a pointed question, and each time he would go back to it.
Right.
He would go back to, why did we get into this mess in the first place? And then he would talk about where were we in 2008, the kind of meltdown, and where are we now? We're adding on jobs, the rate of 80,000 a month. So, unemployment is coming down.
No, but that's what Romney kept on hammering, that 23 million jobs.
Romney kept saying that we were 8% then, we're 8% now. But Romney doesn't say that they went up to 10, 11% in between.
Yes.
And they started coming down. So you see, election is about defining the other guy's image.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Romney defining an image for Obama, and Obama is defining an image for Romney, and who succeeds. I think if you go by that yardstick, then I think Obama did a very good job today. I think last time he got a little flummoxed by the fact that Romney was changing positions.
Right.
And his briefing books were all said that this is where Romney stands. And then Romney was saying something else. And so I think Obama's game plan got tossed out for a 6. He was, I think he was too polite to say that you're lying. I mean, today he said it.
Today he said it.
He said it untrue, not true, you're wrong, And I think there's an innate decency about the man which prevented him from doing it. And I think, his aides and his briefing people all must have jumped on him and said, you got to call the bluff,
Yes.
And I think he did that very effectively. I was seeing some opinion polls today in the morning. From Ohio, there's a 10% opinion poll lead for Obama. And that's an important swing state.
Right.
This Florida and this North Carolina. I think these 3 or 4 swing states are slowly moving back towards incumbency. They say in America, and this is what I had learned in when I went to college there, and there's a great professor of American presidency, Richard Newstead. He used to tell us that presidents have to lose. The challenger doesn't win. And he said there are 2 real reasons. Either there's something on the valence issues, that he's done something very bad, like Richard Nixon. Or there's bread and butter issues.
Yes.
You're really hurting. I think Obama on balance is okay. And bread and butter, they realize, I think, that there's a bad situation and things are getting somewhat better. And he has said that, you won't get gas back at 86 cents a dollar, a gallon. Those days are over. And I think American people understand that.
He also made this very interesting. After repeated questioning, he said that some jobs won't come back.
Absolutely.
And which I think he was being very frank and...
Absolutely. And then I think he did a good job of showing that, Romney made his money stripping down corporations, and shutting down divisions, and exporting jobs to China.
But he also said that Romney also made a comeback. And I think in this case I would differ, because I think there was a dead heat in a way. Because Romney was not expected to perform brilliantly or not. It was more about how Obama would, again come back.
That's true.
So I think expectations are about Obama.
Why? Romney has been a governor. He's had more experience than Obama. He's been a governor for 4 years.
Anyway.
He's a Harvard Business School graduate. In qualifications doesn't lack. So why should expectations be lower?
No, it's not lower. I'm talking about the first debate and the second debate. And let me add this, that I'm just saying that Obama also, you know, when Romney was also talking back to him, at one point he said, where does your pension funds go?
Absolutely.
You know, on China,
No,
both
but,
the candidates have had a difference
but
of the way they do it.
I know, but
you know,
I
there's a lot of thrust
think
and parry
President
in
Obama
this.
had a very good repartee to that. He said that I don't have so
As much pension as you do.
so I don't
But
look
that-
at the pension.
But the fact is that pension funds are going. You know,
When there's a
to
blind
China,
trust,
so,
when there's a
yeah.
blind trust, you don't know where your funds are going.
Going.
It's
So
simple.
that's the
But
point
when
that
you're
he
running
makes.
Bain Capital, you know where your funds are going. That's the difference.
Okay. This interesting discussion will continue. We need to go into a short break now. Please keep watching. We'll be back very soon. Welcome back. We are discussing the US presidential elections and seeing how narrow it is becoming. Ambassador Sen, one of the things which was very hotly debated between the two candidates today is about China and this currency manipulator thing. Romney saying that as soon as if I get elected, the first day I'll declare it as a currency manipulator. What will be the impact of this, today's discussion and this currency manipulator thing? And the reaction of President Obama also was very interesting. What does this actually mean to the US-China relations?
Well, I think most, just putting it in perspective, most US, presidential elections, the candidate, whether it was Bush or whether it was Clinton, he talked about the butchers of Beijing, after Tiananmen. George Bush also, where he saw China as a strategic competitor. So Reagan, with the exception of Bush Senior, in the recent decades, the last 3 decades or so, they have, their positions have evolved over the years. You mentioned, for instance, currency manipulator.
Right.
Obama had said the same. I remember that in 2008 elections when I was there. But he didn't follow that up. In fact, he is the one who, I would say, since George Bush Senior, was the one who started off with a relatively moderate position on China. And as his position evolved, he took a harder line. He started off in a pretty soft position. So,
is it all about the economic relations between the two?
It is about it has to do with the economy. What people if you go to an average store it has, if you look at the factual position, China's position as currency manipulator, actually the currency has appreciated over a period of time by around more than 30% in
you mean the Chinese currency?
The current account deficit has come down very significantly. I don't remember the exact figures, but I think in around about 2007 or so, it was around 10%. That it is huge of GDP. But now it's about hovering around 3%.
Okay.
So it's come, and China, within China itself, there is more of an emphasis for their own reasons to have more of domestic consumption for their own reasons.
Right.
So, but for a man on the street, when you're without jobs, and they see everything, you go to any store,
it's all made in China.
Made in China, even US flags, everything. Even most people will be carrying around these flags, they'll be made in China. So it is actually, there is so
there is an emotional connect to this kind of...
There is an emotional connect, and it's related to the economy.
Right.
But it's significant because after a long time, this is putting itself into the central stage, and with both candidates right now, accusing each other on China. And the other issues will be basically, it is going to be on the, in what we call West Asia, what they call the Middle East, and Libya, that's North Africa, but basically part of that. And that is going to play itself out, I think. further.
Today there was quite a bit
Today
of,
there was, but it's going to continue. I think
yes. The next debate is on foreign policy, so
it is going to be there definitely. Iran will come in.
Right.
You know, and on China also, one of the reasons why the relationship has soured in Obama's perspective, you know,
with China, you mean?
With China, and you know, we shouldn't take you know, too much comfort from these issues in the sense of some of us tend to do, you know, if it's bad for China, good for India, is because some of those issues, you know, like for instance, like on government procurement, we are not a signatory either in terms of trade restrictions. Another thing is on climate change. There again, they're blamed. Trade, international trade, WTO, there again. Then on another factor is politically.
Right.
China has been seen together with Russia as being obstructive on Iran in particular, and Syria also as a sort of a postscript to that. So, so while it will be on, some of this focus will be on China, and among the Republicans, you will find this has been traditional.
Yeah.
You will find both of them on one issue, you know, and therefore it doesn't figure in the elections, is on India, because both the parties are committed, and if you really look at the words, it doesn't really matter that much, but Republicans even more so, bullish on India as a long-term partner, because it is both in terms of their interests and also the values.
The values, and also the number of Indian Americans who live there and who seem to be influencing both the parties to quite an extent.
But there, you know, roughly I'll say there are about 3 million.
Right.
Actually, the last one was something like about 2.87, you know, million. There again, you'll find registered, you know, Democrats or leaning towards Democrats will be around, I would say, 66 or 67%.
Okay.
And those who actually voted for Obama will exceed 80%.
Okay. Out of that 66.
Yeah. But but they will be concentrated in areas where they have already decided. Like for instance, they're not going Democratic anyway. California.
You don't find them in the swing states, or you don't find them in
that much. Not that much of a presence.
Okay. So Vijayalakshmi, we are running short of time. You know, this very interesting things is in these kind of debates, there's such minor scrutiny of every word said. Today it was very interesting after the debate, you know, the television channel is running. What were the claims made and how many claims were, you know, wrong claims which were made or wrong facts which were submitted. Do you think these kind of analysis also has an impact on the voters?
Yes, they do. You know, one of the things that the Americans have gotten used to is these presidential debates being in different formats.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons why the debates are popular.
Right.
It's easy to, you know, make one analysis based on a typical analysis would include swing states, which are about 13, 5 more important of them, plus the Democrat and the Republican states as a whole. But as I said, the magic number will be 270, so the play is going to be more and more on these states as well. But it's also important to understand that, you know, when you look at the way American elections has been, you know, based on technology for so long now, I think the fact checkers and the reality checkers play their own role, because the heated rhetoric of an election theater, you know, everybody makes claims and then they all change. So as, you know, Ambassador was mentioning about China, butchers of Beijing, and for 1 year. But you see, there is also some thing about this fact checking. What happens is you also not only verify the immediate claims made by the candidates, it helps the voters understand a little bit about what the previous lot did.
Absolutely.
Whoever it is.
Absolutely.
You know, especially
Mohan,
on China or Libya. You know, on Libya it came out
Libya it came out
He
today.
said that, you know, there was. But then on the other hand, she also said that, you know, it was actually 14 days before this transcript came out, and they said, yes, it's a terrorist attack.
Right.
And there was no explanation really about why they took so long to, you know, provide and all of that.
Mohan,
so it'll come up in the next one.
Mohan, we're running out of time. Last words to you. These kind, you know, it's very interesting. These kind of small mistakes which the presidential candidates make, or, you know, they go wrong on facts or things, they're also highlighted, which we don't see happening in India. People get away with murder virtually in election campaigns.
It's difficult to compare, you know.
Huh?
Here you have, the whole country is electing one person. And in India, you know, you're electing hundreds of people, you know.
Even the leaders of
you know,
parties, they can get away with.
leaders of, you know, it's a different kind of media environment.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
And the open media, the English media, doesn't penetrate very much. Okay, so, and even then television doesn't penetrate very much. Radio is still in the hands of the government.
Yes.
The written media is not read very much because, you know, 60% are literate and 40% still illiterate. So, so I think it's a different set of conditions out here. But debates, TV debates are a matter of style also.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, if you appear cool and if you appear presidential, in the first debate, Nixon and Kennedy, the people who heard it on radio thought that Nixon won, and the people who saw it on TV thought Kennedy had done well because, you know, Nixon had this 5 o'clock shadow on him, and, you know, he was sweating and all that. So I think image does
make.
I think both of them work very hard to be presidential. I think last election you saw McCain, the camera closing up on him, and he was gritting his teeth and he was sweating. And today I think you saw a little bit of
both of them were pretty made for television.
Yeah, but they were cool. But I think Romney was a little flummoxed by the president's assault on him.
Yeah.
Last time you saw Obama quickly looking through his book to see where have I gone wrong, you know. And that, so I think it's a matter of style, and both of them are trying to project that also. So to say that US elections are somehow based on, you know, great debates and great issues, you know, is also not correct. You know, it's a lot of, you know,
choreography, you think?
Choreography, and there's a lot of, you know, tamasha and money, you know.
Money. Huge
so
money.
they used to always
Anyway.
say that if you got a good image consultant, you were okay.
So
But what happens
somebody like
between
Dilip
two
Cherian should be
debates?
doing
I
very
don't
well.
know about Dilip Cherian, but
But you know what happens between the two
We
debates?
are completely run out. Just one quickly.
You know, what happens between the two debates is decided by what really occurred during the debate. So there's more money and there's more election.
Okay. Anyway,
thing.
you know, discussing a US presidential election every time is very interesting. There's going to be another debate very soon, next Monday. In fact, in the US, we'll follow that also. We'll see and keep watching till the D-Day, that's on November 6th, what happens in the United States. Thanks to all my guests, Mr. Ambassador Ronen Sen, Professor Vijayalakshmi, Mohan, Guruswamy. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue on the big picture, same time tomorrow.